The monastery of Nirvana lay shrouded in the breath of dawn. Soft mists weaving through the tall pines, bells murmuring in half-sleep. Aravinda, only 18, knelt by the stone steps, his hands trembling not from cold but from questions he could no longer silence. Within the cloister walls, the elder monks chanted verses of peace, yet their eyes held something unspoken. A silence that hinted at fear. As the wind stirred the prayer flags, Aravinda heard it, a whisper that did not belong to the wind. "There is another path," it said. He turned toward the mountains, where the first light of day revealed a cave veiled in mist. Forbidden, forgotten, waiting. Later that morning, Aravinda carried his offering bowl through the village at the mountain's base. The villagers bowed, some smiling, others fearful, as if monks carried not blessings but omens. Among them, an old woman pressed a wilted lotus into his hands and whispered, "Don't go where silence grows too deep." Her words stayed with him as he looked up at the misty peak, where the wind still whispered the same forbidden call. Inside the monastery library, Aravinda sorted palm leaf manuscripts under the watch of elder scribes. One scroll was wrapped in black cloth, untouched, unmarked. When he brushed the dust away, he saw faint ink marks, the words, "Mauna Marga, the path of silence." The scroll felt alive, pulsing faintly beneath his fingers. For the first time, he sensed that knowledge itself could be dangerous. That night, unable to rest, Aravinda wandered to the temple balcony. Venerable Surya stood there, gazing at the moonlit mountains. "Master," Aravinda asked, "what lies beyond Nirvana?" Surya's eyes did not move from the horizon. "Only those who forget the question find the answer," he said. Then quietly, "Never seek the cave beyond the mist." But when dawn broke again, Aravinda's resolve had hardened. While the other monks chanted their morning prayers, he quietly packed his small satchel, hiding the black scroll within. As bells rang across the valley, he stepped beyond the monastery gate toward the misted trail that led to the forbidden cave, where silence waited to speak. Aravinda trekked through the forest for 3 days, guided only by the faint hum that seemed to come from the black scroll itself. Rain fell softly on his shoulders. Leeches clung to his ankles, yet his heart felt clear, as if the world was slowly peeling away its layers. When the storm cleared, he reached a clearing where an ancient bodhi tree stood alone. Beneath it lay a half-buried stone tablet marked with the same words, "Mauna Marga." He knelt before it, whispering, "Then it is real." As night fell, he built a small fire under the bodhi tree and unrolled the scroll. The ink shimmered faintly, forming verses that changed as he read. They spoke of Nirvana's twin, a realm where silence devours even wisdom, and where compassion must die before awakening can be reborn. Aravinda trembled. The text warned that any who read beyond the 7th verse could never return unchanged. At dawn, footsteps approached through wet leaves. A wandering monk emerged, his robe tattered, his beard wild. His eyes carried the distance of many lifetimes. "The scroll has chosen you," he rasped, "but it will cost you everything you think is holy." Aravinda bowed, yet his heart shook. "Then let it take me," he said. The old monk vanished as silently as he had come, leaving only footprints that led nowhere. Aravinda followed until the path ended at a river of glass. Clear, cold, endlessly reflecting sky. In the water, he saw his own face dissolve, merging with the clouds. For a moment, he forgot which reflection was real. By twilight, Aravinda reached the mouth of the forbidden cave. The wind here had no sound. The black scroll pulsed in his hand, urging him forward. Behind him, the forest seemed to sigh as though releasing him from its care. "May the silence speak," he whispered, stepping into the unknown. The cave's darkness stretched endlessly until a faint light flickered ahead. Aravinda followed it, his feet brushing ancient bones and dried leaves. The tunnel opened into a small chamber where a lone woman sat before a dying fire. Her robe was ash gray, her hair streaked with silver, though she was young. "You've come," she said without turning. "The wind told me of you." Her eyes, when they met his, were filled not with welcome, but with recognition. Mira spoke of her years as a scholar, how she once lived among monks until her questions were deemed heresy. "They feared what Nirvana hides," she said softly. "It isn't peace, it's dissolution." Aravinda listened, trembling. Her words echoed his own unspoken fears that to awaken might mean to vanish entirely. She led him outside at dawn to a secluded waterfall that glowed with silver mist. "Here," she said, "I burned the other half of the scroll years ago, but its words live in my memory." As she spoke, the sound of the falls deepened until it became indistinguishable from silence itself. Aravinda realized he could no longer hear his own heartbeat. That night they sat beside the waterfall's edge, sharing silence as the moon climbed higher. Mira recited verses from memory, words that dissolved halfway through as though the air refused to carry them. "The last truth," she said, "is not meant to be spoken." Aravinda closed his eyes, feeling a tear slip down his cheek, not of sorrow, but of release. Before dawn, Nira handed him a small piece of blackened parchment, the only surviving fragment of the burned scroll. "When the voice calls, listen, but do not answer too soon." As the mist rose, she vanished into the forest without sound, as though returning to the silence she had mastered. Alone once more, Aravinda felt the mountain breathe through him. The cave walls pulsed with strange luminescence as Aravinda meditated on the parchment. His breath slowed until time itself seemed to halt. Then, from within that stillness, came a voice, neither male nor female, gentle yet vast. "You seek the end of suffering," it whispered. "But have you ever loved enough to suffer?" His eyes snapped open. The fire before him flickered blue. The voice of Mara had found him. The voice filled the cave, taking on shapes from his memories. The monks, Mira, even Suriya's calm gaze. "You want truth," it said, "but you fear it will erase you." He tried to focus on his breath, yet the images grew clearer, each one a reflection of the doubt he had buried beneath devotion. The voice grew softer. "You fear desire," it murmured. From the shadows stepped a vision of Mira, radiant, human, alive. Her touch felt real, her breath warm. Aravinda trembled, torn between longing and shame. "Are you illusion?" he whispered. "All things are," she replied, smiling before dissolving into air. Now the voice took his own form. Another Aravinda, eyes burning with arrogance and serenity combined. "You could be a god," it said. "Teach others. Be worshipped." The real Aravinda gazed at his reflection, shaking his head. "No," he whispered. "I came to disappear, not to be remembered." The reflection smiled and began to crumble. When silence finally returned, Aravinda fell forward onto the cold stone floor. His tears mixed with dust. "If this is Mara," he said weakly, "then I will love you too." The cave pulsed once with blinding light, then went dark. Only his breath remained, steady, calm, whole. When Aravinda awoke, the cave was still. The blue glow had faded, leaving behind faint traces of ash. He rose, guided by a faint breeze that seemed to call him deeper within. The air thickened with the scent of incense, impossible in such a place. Then he saw an ancient altar carved into the rock, its surface marked by deep grooves worn by kneeling generations. A single bowl of ashes sat at its center. As he knelt, visions poured through him. Flashes of monks kneeling, of chants swallowed by silence, of one man alone before the same altar, Venerable Suriya, much younger, burning a scroll in secret. Aravinda gasped. His teacher had known this place, had once sought what Aravinda now pursued. The truth was not forbidden because it was evil, but because it was incomplete. The voice of Suriya echoed from within the cave walls. calm yet sorrowful. I once reached where you stand. I turned back. For the sake of others. Aravinda's heart pounded. And if I go further, he whispered. Then, said the voice, you will cease to be a student, and cease to be at all. Still, Aravinda stepped forward. At the cave's heart, he found a pool of perfectly still water. Its surface reflected not the cave ceiling, but the endless sky. As he gazed, the reflection changed, revealing every life he had ever lived, every face he had ever been. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, so, this is Nirvana's shadow. The memory of all that must be surrendered. As the vision faded, he heard footsteps echoing behind him. Venerable Surya stood at the entrance. Older, his eyes filled with grief and pride. I could not destroy what you were meant to find, he said softly. But do not mistake silence for escape. Aravinda bowed deeply. Nor peace for truth, he replied. Between them the pool rippled, then stilled once more. Days passed without measure. The world outside the cave ceased to exist. Aravinda sat beside the silent pool, his reflection merging and unmerging in the faint light. Surya remained near, saying little. There is a threshold beyond which even compassion becomes illusion, the elder said one evening. Aravinda's gaze did not waver. Then let the illusion break. That night, the cave trembled with unseen wind. The pool began to rise as if alive, forming shapes of monks, of Mira, of his childhood self. The air vibrated with countless voices, all calling his name. Aravinda closed his eyes and whispered, I am none of these. Instantly, everything went silent. In that silence, Aravinda saw Surya weeping, not from sorrow, but from release. I guarded the temple from this truth, he said. Now I see I was guarding myself. Aravinda reached out, touching his teacher's trembling hand. For an instant, their bodies dissolved into light, two flames merging into one. Then came the great unbinding. Aravinda's vision shattered into fragments, mountains, stars, rivers, all dissolving into a single breath. There was no he, no they, no this, only the soundless hum that underlies all things. In that hum, he understood Nirvana is not escape, but embrace. When light faded, only Surya remained, seated in stillness. He smiled faintly, eyes closed. The pool reflected nothing now, no light, no form, and in that void a whisper echoed, tender and vast. Thank you, Master. The old monk bowed to the emptiness, tears falling freely. The sun rose over Nirvana Monastery, painting the peaks in crimson and gold. The monks began their morning chants, yet something in the air was different. The silence itself felt alive. As Venerable Surya emerged from meditation, he saw a figure walking from the misted path below. It was Aravinda, older, serene, his steps weightless as breath. He had returned, but no shadow followed him. The monks gathered silently as Aravinda approached. No words were spoken, none were needed. His eyes carried both the vastness of the sky and the gentleness of water. He bowed before his teacher, and Surya bowed in return. For a moment, time itself bowed with them. That evening, Aravinda walked through the same corridors where he once carried offerings as a novice. Every whisper, every crack in the stone seemed alive with memory. He touched the old walls gently, smiling. Nothing was ever forbidden, he murmured, only unripe. Outside, the wind moved the prayer flags, each one fluttering as though newly freed. At dusk, Surya gathered the monks in the courtyard. We taught silence as refuge, he said, but he has shown us silence as life. His frail hand trembled as he pointed toward the horizon where Aravinda sat in meditation. He is no longer a seeker, he whispered. He has become the path itself. As night descended, The wind carried the sound of chanting, not from lips, but from the stillness of everything itself. Surya closed his eyes, smiling faintly as his final breath joined the wind. From the mountain's peak, Aravinda opened his eyes once more. In them burned neither heaven nor earth, only the vast compassion of all that is.